One of the worst things I dislike about teaching is disruptive behaviours. And this is one of the reasons why I stopped working in other settings. So at least now when I teach level 4 certificate in education and training, I don't really have any behaviours that are disruptive. Communication is probably the biggest way to manage behaviour. Body language makes up for 55% of communication. So first set your expectations, reinforce your ground rules, what you want your learners to do. Get them to come up with as many positive behaviours as possible, then add anything that is missing. This gives your learners accountability in the fact that they have set their own rules and they don't want to let down their peers. A traffic light system is effective. Green light is acceptable behaviour. Yellow light is moderately acceptable, like the occasional swear word. And then red light is where behaviour is just not tolerated, like bullying. So which disruptive behaviours exist in a typical classroom? I'm not referring to behaviours found in the level 4 certificate in education and training. So learners not finishing work or avoiding doing set work, and this can actually hold up your class if it's not addressed. Teasing other learners, and this is against our code of conduct. Interrupting and calling out, we still get this. Entering the classroom late, and this is a pet peeve of mine, but I'll continue with the lesson after warning as to not affect other learners. So when learners come in noisily, then obviously that's a different story. Constant talking, it's something you'll find with extroverts, but a simple reminder is enough. And then you can just cut in with moving on. So using phones, adults can use phones. We get them to put the phones on silent and they can leave the room if necessary to answer them. Swearing or inappropriate language, and that will depend on the group you're teaching. If I'm teaching security to youngsters and I expect swearing, if I'm teaching in the NHS, I'm not going to hear it. So you need to set your boundaries depending upon your class environment. Eating and drinking, I don't particularly have any sort of problem, but you need to follow your organisational policy and ensure learners clear up after themselves. There's nothing worse than having to wipe away biscuits off a table at the end of the lesson. And lastly, not respecting others. Personal space and property. So you need to speak with the individual and use a saying that your mum would probably always say to you: treat others the way you like to be treated yourself. So we've already mentioned using ground rules, but I'll try and create rapport with my learning. And I earn their respect when I ask for something in return, such as good behaviour. I'll normally get it if I've established a good relationship with the learner. I was a pain at school and my PE teachers were the only one that I felt really treated me like an adult. Therefore, I'd always go the extra mile with that teacher. Okay, so ensure that you concentrate on the root cause of any behavioural issue. So learners are sluggish after lunch, so they might need an energizer. They might get irritable when it's time for a snack or a coffee. So a lot of the time, if you address the root cause, you'll eliminate the problem in the first place. Lastly, think about where you see individuals. So remember being at school where I'd always sit with my friends. We just chat and play around and we actually didn't do any work. So just moving me onto another table would automatically change my behaviour and I ended up behaving myself.